Hello, students. I believe you're okay. Allow me to continue with our unit, Financial Risk Management. But do remember, we are guided by a saying by William Shedd, a ship in harbor is safe. But that is not what ships are built for. What are you saying? If you want to start a business, there is no way you can run away from risk. The fundamental issue here is how to operate your business and manage risk to the best way possible. And because of that, I'm going to take a review of what already we have done. We talked about risk, then financial risk, then management of risk. After management of risk, we went to strategies which are used to manage risk. Having identified those strategies, we said those strategies can be achieved via tools or mechanisms. And one of these mechanisms is what we normally call an option. So our subtopic today is going to talk about an option, a tool for financial risk management. We are bound to ask ourselves, what is an option? An option is a financial contract which gives one party a right but not an obligation to buy a specified number of shares at a predetermined date and a predetermined price. Allow me to expound on each of the terms there. We are talking about right. What is a right? Right is what you're entitled to. And because you're entitled, you have the power to say, I can have my right or not have my right. For instance, you have a right to acquire land of your father. But it's not a must that you have that land. You can give that land to someone else. So you have a flexibility of playing with your right. Then what is an obligation? An obligation is a duty which you are bound to undertake. And you cannot give someone else your duty. You have to do that. So because of this, if an option gives the holder a right, it implies the holder is highly flexible to execute that contract or allow that contract to lapse, depending on profitability. Then I'll talk about what is a security. Do remember in Financial Management 1, these are financial instruments which can be used to generate funds. And examples are like this one. We have a share, a bond, or a debenture, among others. So we have all that. We are talking about predetermined price. Predetermined price is also called excess price or strike price, because at the end of maturity, you are striking the contract to your advantage, if at all you are executing it. What you are supposed to realize is that there should be two parties. There should be two parties. There should be two parties to this contract, a buyer and a seller. So, for the purpose of showing commitment at the time of contracting, the holder of the right should pay a commitment fee called premium, so that he cannot run away from that contract. As we normally argue in finance, there is nothing for free. So if at all you are entering into a contract and you have to have a right, then you have to pay something. Classification of options. They can be classified into two main categories. We have according to the holder of the right, and number two, according to the date of maturity. Let us go to classification number 1, according to the order of the right. We have two types. We have a call option and a put option. A call option is a financial contract that gives the buyer the right and not an obligation to acquire a specified number of securities at a predetermined date and a predetermined price. And borrowing from that, I can give an example. A contract between KK Limited and Savcom Limited, such that KK Limited intends to buy 2,000 units of shares of Savcom Limited at the end of 3 months at a price of Kenya shillings 120. In this case, KK is the buyer and is the one who initiated the contract. Because of that, he is the holder of the right. Another type in the same classification is what we call put option. It is a financial contract which gives the seller now, not the buyer, which gives the seller the right to sell a specified number of securities at a predetermined date and predetermined time. Because of that, being the holder of the right, he can execute it or allow it to lapse depending on profitability position. And an example is here. A contract between Equita Limited and Savcom Limited, such that Savcom Limited intends to sell 5,000 units of shares to Equita Limited at a price of Kenya shillings 100 at the end of 6 months. If you check the wording there, we can appreciate that. Now, it is Savcom which is initiating to sell. And because of that, they are the ones who are having the right. Then you go to the second classification, which is depending on the time of maturity. We have two types. We have American option and European option. What about American option? This is a financial contract which can mature at any given time before the date of expiry. What am I saying it can mature? That is, the holder of the right can execute it even before the time stipulated in the contract, so long as he realizes there is what we call an advantage of profitability. Then we have the European option. Which is highly inflexible. You cannot execute it until the end of as stipulated in the contract. If it is 6 months, it should be at the end of 6 months. Comparing the two, it implies that the American option is better than European option, putting other factors constant, in the sense that it is highly flexible. You can execute it even after 1 minute or 2 seconds or 3 minutes, or whatever the length, so long as you are within the time frame and you are making profits. Having covered that, we should be able to ask ourselves, how does an option act as a financial risk management tool? Because we are appreciating it as a tool to manage financial risk. The example is given here, of which we can go through it. KK Limited initiated a contract to buy 2,000 units of Savcom shares at the end of 3 months at a price of Kenya shillings 120 per share. What is required for last year? We are asking, who is the holder of the right, so that we can know how we will behave depending on the prevailing market prices. What will the holder of the right do if the prevailing market price at the end of 3 months is Kenya shillings 100? Then the third question is, what will the holder of the right do if the prevailing market price at the end of 3 months is Kenya shillings 150? Do remember, after entering into a contract, the prices, the market is reacting, and you have different prices at different dates. So let's go check our solutions. Solution number one, we appreciate that KK is the initiator of the contract. So he is the one who is holding the right. And do remember we said the right is what we call entitlement. And what you're entitled to, you can take it or say, fine, I can give to someone else. And you not feel offended. You're not offending anyone because it's your right. So number two, what will happen if the price at the end of 3 months is Kenya shillings 100? If we compare the contract price was Kenya shillings 20. But the market is promising Kenya shillings 100. So it beats the logic. Financial prudency works this way. Go to the best location possible. There is no need of buying an item at Kenya shillings 120 when somewhere else you can buy at 100. So, as a financial manager of KK Limited, I believe beyond reasonable doubt that we are going to run away from the contract and buy from the market, so long as those shares are available there. Let's go to number 3. What about if at all the market price at the end of 3 months is Kenya shillings 150? Okay, what is happening here? The contract is promising you to buy at Kenya shillings 120. But in the market, it is telling you I'm going to buy at 150. Prudence works again. You rather buy through the contract and avoid the market. If anything, you can buy from the contract, run to the market, and sell at 150. And then you're going to make a kill of Kenya shillings, 30 shillings, having not factored the premium, the commitment fee, so paid. So, and because of that kind of flexibility, we agree beyond reasonable doubt that an option is a tool to manage financial risk, because you are focused to the future so that you can operate your business to the best way. Having done that, we go ahead to give an assignment relating to that area of coverage. And the assignment will be similar to what has already been done, but using different values. Savcom Limited intend to sell 5,000 units of shares to Equity Limited at a price of Kenya shillings 100 per share at the end of 6 months. Then you are asked, who is the holder of the right? Number 2, what will happen to the holder of the right when the market price is Kenya shillings 80? What will happen to the holder of the right when the Kenya shillings is 130? You think outside the box. After covering that, we go to inner part of the topic, and this is valuation of options. The value. Any liability, any asset should have a value. So we are asking ourselves, what is the value of this contract in terms of money? And there are 2 main models which are normally used to work for the value of an option. There is what we call simple models as well as complex models. Simple from the word. Simple in the sense that it normally uses only 2 variables: prevailing market price and excess price or strike price. So 2 variables are not all okay for do in-depth financial analysis. We need to factor more variables in any model. No wonder we have complex models. And if I told you, look, the complex models determine more than 2 variables. In a real sense, they do factor prevailing market price, risk-free rate of return, for instance, the return which can be got from the treasury bills, volatility, that is how varying the return of a security is taking place, time, as well as excess price. So you can see it is an extension of the simplified model, and it should be a superb model than the simple. Or you know, we have to use the 2 of them. Let's start with the simple models. As much as they are simple, they have ability of determining the value of an option, and by extension, to know when the right holder is making a profit, is making a loss, or at break-even point. As far as we start, we said we have 2 types of options as far as order of the right is concerned. If we address call option for today, we start with the formula to work for the value of a call option. And it is given by VC is equals to maximum, brackets, MPS minus E comparative of 0. So what is inside here is you're doing a bit of mathematics, whereby you are taking market price per security or per share, depending on security you're addressing. You subtract the exercise price, then you compare with the 0. And it is okay here. VC, value of a call option. Max, maximum. MPS, prevailing market price. E, exercise price. Thus, at a particular time, the value of a call option is the highest value when we compare the difference between market price and the strike price with a 0. Allow us to know how to know whether the right holder is making a profit or a loss or at a break-even point. Having worked for the value, we go ahead in determining profit or loss. And profit or loss is given by this formula. P/L is equals to VC minus PRIM, where P/L is profit or loss, VC, value of the call option, PRIM, premium paid when entering into a contract. Do remember we said it is a kind of commitment fee. Having computed P and L, then we can make further deductions. When the buyer is making a profit, the buyer is said to be in the money. We argue financially, in the money. When making losses, we talk about out of the money. And when at the break-even point, you are not making loss, neither profit. Do remember in game theory, you can be at a game break-even point. Then we talk about at the money. We consider the example there. Mr. John acquired a call option to buy Savcom Limited shares at the end of 3 months at a price of Kenya shillings 100 per share. For the purpose of showing commitment, a premium of Kenya shillings 10 was paid to Savcom Limited. Required value of the call option at each of the following prevailing market prices. Do remember I said, the moment the contract has been entered, the market is reacting. And each and every day, we may be having different prices or a point at which the order of the right can execute the contract. So the market price can promise 50 shillings, 70, 80, 100, 120, 140. These are hypothetical cases because the market is spanned from 1 month to the last month. Then compute the possible profit or loss to be made by Mr. John at each of the prevailing market price in A and BAF. Guided by the formula, we said the first one is MPS here. Then we have value given by the maximum of MPS minus exercise price comparative of 0. Then we pick the maximum value. When the market is tentatively promising 50 shillings per share, it is here. What is the value of that? The maximum value is 50 minus 100. The 100 is now the exercise price. Then we compare with the 0. Mathematically, 50 minus 100 is minus 50. Minus 50 we compare with the 0, then 0 is bigger than what? Minus 50. And we move that way. We come here, 70. The value is 70, take away 100, you compare with our 0 here. 70 minus 100 is minus 30. You compare with the 0, 0 is bigger. So at that price, the value is 0. If we go that way, we come to 140, it follows the same case. The value of a call option is 140 minus 100, which is 40. Then you compare with 0. Then 40 is the maximum. It is the highest. So we have already known how to work for the value of a call option using simple models. The best thing to note is that from 50 to 100, the right holder, who is the buyer now, is not making. The value is 0. The value is 0. But the moment the price goes to 120, the market value is going up. What about profit? Having worked for the value of a call option, we can use it to determine the profit or loss which is being made by the right holder using those hypothetical market prices. And as we have said, if I can take you back, the value of a the price, the profit or loss of a call option is given by the value, take away the premium. And do remember I said the premium is kind of a commitment fee. So if we come to our workings, we want to know the profit or loss when the prevailing market price is Kenya shillings 50. We have Roman 1, Roman 2, Roman 3. What is the value of a call option when the price was 50? It was 0. What was the premium paid? Kenya shillings 10. So 0 minus 10 becomes minus what? Minus 10, which implies the buyer is making a loss. The same case at the point of 70. The value was also 0. The premium is constant. It is 10. 0 minus 10, it is still a loss. So from 50, we can say from 50 to 100. From 50 to 100, the right holder is experiencing losses. And if at all you're experiencing losses, you cannot execute that contract on your side. If anything, you can allow the contract to lapse. But if we come to when the market price is 110, you can realize that it is 0. 0 meaning that you are not making a loss or a profit. You are at a break-even point. But immediately the market price goes above 110, it implies now the right holder is above the break-even point. And that extent, 120, the value was 10 initially computed. Take away 10, we have what? We have 10. 140, the value was 40. Premium paid 10. For the take away 10 becomes 30. So from this level here, after break-even point, the right holder, who is the buyer, is experiencing profits. So it is upon him to know at what point should he execute the contract. At this point, you can execute. At this point, kindly, a prudent financial manager should allow the contract to lapse. That takes me to our second assignment, which is a mirror, which is a reflection of what we have done. Mr. BB Limited acquired a call option to buy Lapsum Limited shares at the end of 3 months at a price of Kenya shillings 20 per share. For the purpose of showing commitment, a premium of Kenya shillings 60 was paid to Lapsum Limited. Required value given those hypothetical prices. Again, you compute the profit or loss possible out of those hypothetical prices. And we come to the end of our lesson. Next lesson will be value of a put option using simple models. Thank you, class.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.